It's a beautiful day to be in love. Welcome to another episode of Caravan of Love right here at City Star TV. My name is Nanaya and I am your host. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about how to know if you're in love. Like I said, it is a beautiful day to feel like we are in love. And how do we know that what we are feeling is not just an attraction? How do we know we just don't like that man, but we are actually in love with that man? So, this is for you, the ladies. So, if you're feeling any of the things I'm about to list, if your emotions are moving towards that way, if your feelings are moving towards the line, if your actions are moving towards what I'm about to say, then maybe, or no, not maybe, then you are in love with that gentleman that you have your eyes set on. So, my first point number one, is you can't stop thinking about him. I mean, like, you really can't. Even when you're eating, you just seem to, he pops on your mind all the time. You're at work, you're talking to a friend on the phone, you're trying to get some work done, even when you're exercising, you're eating, whatever you're doing, somehow he just stays on your mind. So much so that you're distracted from what you're doing. You just can't help it. You keep thinking about him, you keep wondering what he's doing. He just, remembering the last thing he said to you, remembering the last time you saw his face, the last time you heard his voice. You just can't stop thinking about him. And ladies, you know what I mean. When this happens, it's all giggly up in there, the excitement, that feeling, and all that. So that brings me to my point number two. Whilst you can't stop thinking about him, you also realize that every single time you think about him, you're smiling. And this even happens without you knowing. You just smile every single time you're thinking about him. You can't help it. It's natural. You just see it, and sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it until somebody prompts you and be like, "Are you okay?" You're smiling. Be like, "Oh yeah, I am. Oh yeah." You see, yeah, that happened because you just can't help yourself. It's the way you're feeling about him that makes every single thing about him so interesting to you that you're smiling just at the thought of him. Just at the thought of him. And have you noticed how he can't seem to do anything wrong? I mean, no matter what he does, he can't seem to go wrong. And that is my point number three. He doesn't seem to do anything wrong. Every single thing about him is just, it feels right, It feels great. It feels amazing. That guy can do no wrong, absolutely no wrong. I mean, you could walk in on him doing something probably illegal, and you find the good aspects of it and be like, "Oh, hey, that's good. That's pretty. That's amazing. That's great. That's exciting." He just can't seem to go wrong. I mean, come on. He's doing a lot of bad things, or he's probably doing some bad things at least, but nothing that he seems to do feels bad. Somehow, he just gets it right. And that brings me to my point number four. My point number four is you do daydream a lot. I mean, have you noticed how distracted you are at work lately? You just can't seem to even focus when you're at lectures or you're in class or you have to do this work. I mean, you almost burnt your food the other time you were cooking just because you were doodling and dreaming and daydreaming about him. Come on, you were so gone, young lady. You're so gone for this gentleman because you're daydreaming all the time, putting yourself in your fantasy world where you are with him, where you guys are together, where you guys are doing something exciting together. You just, oh, your reality doesn't even seem to attract you anymore. You just like to go in your head where the two of you can be with each other and do the things that you actually want to do together. And that is the part where you want to go. And point number five is also very important. You realize that you want to be around him all the time. Just be with him. You just want to talk to him. You just want to hang out. And point number five kind of go with point number six, because though you want to be around him, point number six is it's more than physical. It's not just you going to be with him where it gets sexual or to touch him. No, it goes beyond that. You just want him around you. Even if you just know you're in the same building, and he's upstairs and you're downstairs, you just, he's in the same building with you, and it's exciting. And it feels good to know that you have him so close by. That sort of feeling. So you want to be with him. You want to bond with him. You want to be in proximity to him. You want him around you. You want him breathing the same air as you're breathing. It's like you just can't help yourself. You're craving for his company, for his presence and all that. And then you're way gone. You're headed down that steep slope where you just keep falling and falling and falling for this very particular gentleman. So like I said, point number 6, wanting to be around him, but it goes beyond the physical. That brings me to my point number 7. My point number 7 is you want to know every single thing about him. Every single thing. Sometimes it's not just even knowing everything, it's just you want to hear him talk. And you're curious, what was he doing when he was 5 years old? What was he doing in tertiary? What was he doing in high school? What was he doing in junior high? What are subjects he learned in school? Is it the same thing that you learned? How was his parents like? How was his family life like? What are his dreams, his aspirations? What does he want for himself? Does he love music? What is his type of music? What is his favorite food? What is his favorite color? I mean, every single detail about him, you just want to know. You want to talk to him. You want him to tell you all about him. How does he take his ice cream? What kind of flavors does he like? Does he take his coffee black or white? I mean, every single thing, whether it's important, you even want to know his shoe size. His favorite shirts. Does he have favorite places he likes to go? What are his hobbies? Everything about him seems so important to you that you want to know. You just want to know because he is important to you, because of how you feel about him, because you've fallen in love with him. And now every single information about him is so important to you. You just have to know. Which brings me to my next point number 8. And this is the scary part. This is when you know you're really gone, That is when you're actually willing to compromise to see his point of view. See, as you're getting to know things about him, sometimes you guys will have a discussion and a talk. And then you're talking about something he did or how he felt about an incident or an event. And his line of thought usually doesn't line up with yours. His perspective on the thing is different from your perspective. He probably likes it black and you like it white. But you realize you're willing to go gray just to see his point of view. You're willing to, sometimes more than just go gray, you're willing to actually blacken your thoughts just to see how it feels, just to relate to his side of it, relate to it just like he does, just to perceive it the same way he perceives it. You're willing to compromise on your principles, on your beliefs, on your actions, just to be able to feel the same way he felt about the incident, to have the same kind of ideas about the things that he perceives, think the same way, think alike. Oh, okay, so you think everything is good or bad. He thinks there's something called necessary evil. So you have him talk to you about it so you can actually begin to understand why he feels that way and actually feel the same way yourself. You begin to compromise just to see his point of view, and this is when you know that you've fallen. You're falling, and you're basically lying down flat. You're lying down flat. You're so in love with him because you're willing to compromise on your principles, just so he doesn't put you off, so he doesn't seem unattractive to you. And speaking of not attractive, that brings me to my point number 9. Because of how you feel about him, because he can't seem to do anything wrong, he becomes just like your perfect ideal man. And every other man seems unattractive. They all lose their appeal. You're just not attracted to anybody else but this very particular man. I mean, come on. You thinking about him and give me one of the hot men we have in Ghana here. Anybody at all. So your favorite male celebrity crush, yeah, your male celebrity crush right here in Ghana can even come walk right in front of you, can actually call out to you, and you'll be like, oh, hi, hey, bye. Because your mind, your heart is already full of somebody else. It's already filled. Someone else is already occupying that space. So there's no space for anybody else. I mean, nobody else looks as good as he does. Nobody else talks as good as he does. Nobody else is as funny as he is. Nobody else is as exciting or makes you feel the way he makes you feel. Just nobody else can seems to be able to compare to him in any way at all. And then you know that, lady, you are in love with this gentleman. And my 10th point, this is my last point, that if this is also happening, then you know you are in love with that gentleman. You just don't like him. It's when you begin to mimic his actions. Now it's natural. It's natural. It's not like you intentionally did it. But you realize that sometimes when maybe he sits or he's talking, he likes to tap his forehead. I know. And you don't even notice that, but over time, you just notice that suddenly you talk and you do the same thing. Huh. I know, right? Interesting. And he likes to use the phrase, I know, a lot. I mean, come on. I know. I mean, come on. I know. And then you notice your friend starts to look at you weird. And why? Because now you're talking and you keep using, I mean, come on. I know. A lot. Just like he does. It's like his actions are rubbing off on you, and you're doing the same thing that he does without even realizing it. You start mimicking his actions. And the day you notice, you realize that you have done it so much, it feels like they are your actions too. So when all these is happening, you're doing all these things, you're feeling all these way about one particular gentleman out there, then baby, then lady, then young woman, then mama, you are just in love with that gentleman. It goes beyond just liking him. I hope it works out for you. I hope it feels the same way about you. I hope you guys are able to build something out of it, because right here at Caravan of Love, we're just here to make sure that you have a smooth journey on your love journey. Stay tuned.